If you have a feminine person who's looking for someone who's more grounded, more stable, connected, and it's a man there and he's saying, I don't know what I want to do in my life. I'm just thinking about going on a sabbatical and, I'm just soul searching right now. There's a possible chance that she's not going to feel that attraction because she wants someone who's grounded, who's focused, who's together. And that doesn't mean that he needs to be making a lot of money. It just means energetically that she's looking for someone who has that energy, that grounding energy. Same token, it might be a man and he's really masculine and he's sitting in front of a woman and all she's talking about is her work. And she's completely in her head and she's problem solving. She's very performance driven. And she's beautiful on paper, but he doesn't feel this attraction because same thing. Here he's in front of this woman and she's energetically kind of coming off more like a man, more masculine. And so we all embody both masculine and feminine energy. And it fluctuates depending on the situations. It doesn't mean that the goal is to always be balanced. And it's nothing wrong with a woman being more masculine in certain situations or a man being more feminine in certain situations. It just means that when we come together, you need to have that arc of energy, that polarity to create that. How many of you have actually experienced this where you've actually met someone, maybe you started conversing with someone, they're beautiful, and then when you meet with them, it's not there. You don't feel that chemistry. And would you say for the most part, when it really comes down to it, whether you'll admit this or not, but when you sit down in front of people, would you say, even if you're a conscious being and you claim to be spiritual, would you say that there's always this part of you thinking, would I sleep with this person?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Okay. So it's like, regardless of how spiritual you are, of course, I would like to have a conscious relationship. That is my ultimate goal also. But I'm also a sexual being. And so that's very important. And it's interesting is that, for the most part, sometimes when you might even meet a person who's spiritual, they're disconnected from this part of their bodies. They might be really good at meditating. They might be able to talk philosophy, but they're so disconnected to this maybe primal part of themselves. Women want to feel that, they'll see this guy being kind of one of those kind of very kind of sensitive metaphysical guys, and the guy's thinking, wait a minute, I'm really sensitive. Ain't I the type of guy you want to go out with? And yet, the woman that he's trying to attract, she's used to going out with maybe these more macho type of guys. He can't figure it out, But energetically, she again wants that masculine energy that creates that polarity that will create that excitement. For women here, would you say that regardless if you want a sensitive man, do you want a man that who can back you, who can protect you, who can be strong for you?
Of course, yes.
Yeah, okay. So, and for men here, you say if you work in the work field and you're around masculine people all the time, you're always problem solving, what would make you feel more comfortable? Coming home to a woman who's like trying to problem solve your day and like, hey, this is what I think you should do. Or maybe a woman's looking at you in the heart and smiling, just saying, would you, of course we're not trying to get back to the 1950s, but a woman could look in your eyes, maybe put her hand in your heart and just say, what would you like? How can I serve you? How can I connect you? Would that be more fulfilling? It doesn't mean it has to be that way all the time. But what's interesting in, say, this culture here, it's very, very masculine driven. So a lot of women are becoming very masculine and a lot of men are becoming really feminine. And then you have like these two people come together and they're like neutralizing each other. So as far as when it comes to sexual or chemistry, you need to have that spark of energy. And it even happens like when you might be with someone who's your best friend. How often do you hear that? I'm dating my best friend. Well, that's cool and all, but would you want a passionate person as your lover or your friend? What's going to challenge you more?
To be a lover.
What was that?
Lover.
Probably the passionate lover, yes, because that person's going to evoke maybe demons in you. Person who's a friend, you might just become very complacent with. It also depends on what you define what you want as far as a relationship is concerned. But if you just kind of want a partner and then you guys build an empire together and have kids and build a white picket fence and then get bored and then whatever, that's fine. But if you want a person who is going to challenge you, and you want a passionate partner that's going to invoke those things in you, that's what's going to keep the relationship going. It's going to renew itself all the time. Like, for example, I mean, one of the reasons why I like this movie so much is because till the end they were very passionate, and that is the movie The Notebook. It wasn't like it was an easy relationship, but they depicted a really passionate relationship. Two people trying to work it out, and two people really loving each other, and two people dying at the end together.
What is this?
The Notebook. Yes. So, how many people saw that? By the way, guys, if you want a great pickup shirt, they have shirts out there that says, I watched The Notebook. Works all the time. Sometimes there are women who appear to be more masculine, but that's more from survival mechanisms. They could be where they grew up with a single mother who was always helpless and always dependent on men, and at a very young age that they decided that they're going to go to college, be self-sufficient, and take care of themselves, and therefore never feel the need to depend on a man. But they end up developing this very masculine part of themselves, so there's no room for a man to fit in. And oftentimes those are the clients who will show up in my office and will say, you know, I have it all together. I'm attractive, I go to the gym, I make really good money, and all these things. I think that my career intimidates men, and you know, it's not that. It's that where can they fit? Because one of the things that make masculine people really feel good is being able to help, being able to serve. I mean, men here, I mean, how good do you feel to help? And if a woman were to say, if you were to open up a door and they were to say, you don't need to do that, don't bother, how does it make you feel? Yeah, it's kind of a repelling energy. And of course, no one has the power to make us feel a certain way, but still energetically it could be a real turn-on. It's oftentimes women who are, say, a little bit older, or they've been with a man for a while, they'll be, and it's a really common thing, the 23-year-old secretary who's driving, you know, a 1974 Pinto and doesn't have her shit together, and then the husband starts dating her or something. There's some type of polarity. Well, maybe this is a story. There's many of them. It could be where she's taking care of the children. That's a very masculine thing to do. It's protecting. It's one task after another, and she's not cultivating her sexual energy. She's no longer wearing, you know, sexy underwear. She's no longer fixing her hair up. She's so caught with this role of being a mother that she's kind of forgot who she is. She's forgotten that she's this beautiful goddess. And so he's no longer attracted to that. And not only that, she forgets to take the mask off when he comes home. So there's no longer that sexual energy. He doesn't feel like he can fit anywhere in her life, except she's bossing him around when he comes home from work. So he goes to work, and of course, there's the helpless secretary or receptionist who's, you know, asking for his help, being more vulnerable and being more feminine. And of course, he ends up maybe having an affair. But it's about that, you know, for the most part, for most men, they like to slay dragons. Of course, this language might not fit for everyone, but for the most part, from men I meet, it seems to they seem to be in agreement with that. One thing that's cool about sexual polarity, to remember, it's not something that you just, if you really understand it, it's something that you can use at work also. Oftentimes, business women are like wearing pants and they think that, you know, acting like a man is going to get them what they want. When the reality is that how many little girls here, and like maybe you broke something, and you looked up at your dad and you went, "I'm sorry, Dad," and he was totally cool with it. Did any of you do that? With any of you princesses before? Okay, well, I'm not saying you can do that at work, but the thing is that by doing that, you invite him out of his head into his heart. There's this very playful, it's still sexual energy. You understand? We have sexual energy when we're little kids. There's ways that we use that energy. Just as adults, it becomes actually connected more to our genitals. But if you were, say, a businesswoman and you were to be in a room with a bunch of men, keep in mind, these men are arguing, they're in their heads. Who do you think he's going to connect to the most? The one that connects into his own heart, when he starts feeling what it is that you're saying. So a woman, a feminine person, even a man who can connect to those type of words that pulls a man into that energy, is going to be the man who connects to that person. So it's both men and women. That when you learn how to play these different energies, you're a much better, effective communicator.